hunters have an unfair advantage when it comes to using a trail cam to figure out where to go to hunt. Well, I'm here today to even the playing field. Stay tuned. In the first use of this CanFish fishing camera, what I've done is I've converted it into an underwater trail cam. And out here in the shallow marsh where I fish, as the tide comes up, the fish come in. The question is, where do they go? We've had a hard time finding them this year, and I hope if the water's not too murky out there, I can stake this into one of the channels and see if the targeted fish that I'm looking for, redfish, actually use that approach. And if they don't, well then I know I don't need to waste my time there. Well, let's get this thing out there. Tide's low right now. Looks like a great time to get out and plant this, and then let the tide come up and the fish come in. There's the channel between these two oyster beds that I want to target. Here's how I have it rigged up. I've got it on a rod spike. I've got a float here in case the spike is covered with the water. And now I just have to figure out where to put it. The time is 10 minutes to 11 and the tide level is 1.9. So that should be perfect, because last year and the year before we were catching them back over there at a tide level of 3. So as this tide goes up another foot, we should start to see fish come through here, if they're still coming through here this year. Well, I'm gonna go fish someplace else. We'll let this sit. The camera has an hour and 38 minutes of runtime, so that'll be a good test. What it'll do is it'll drop it out in 3-minute loops, so I can quickly scan through and see if I've got any activity. I've got some other ideas to use this CanFish for, but I think this trail camera is one I'm going to use a lot as I try and find where these fish have moved after all the storms around here. 1.9, 10 minutes to 11. Let me get out of here so the fish will start coming. So look how different this looks now with the tide up. The tide level is about 3.7 right now, and the camera probably went off at a tide level of 3.5. I'm not sure if the water clarity is good with the incoming tide, but we'll have to see that. I'm glad I put the float on this thing because it's totally covered. Well, let me go pick it up, and when we get back home, we'll check out and see if we can see anything. It's barely underwater. Whoa. Here we go. Retrieve. As I feared, the water was pretty murky, as you can see, so I won't bore you with showing you all this footage, but I was able to see some flashes of fish going by, and I put that to good use the following day. I'm going to do this again to get some better footage, but as a result of the fish flashes going by, I confirmed that they were going back to the weed bed at a higher level of tide. And the next day, I tied into this monster, over slot 32 inches. Here's what comes in the box. You can see that the camera is beautifully packaged. It comes with everything you need to charge it and float it above your bait. Here are the features of this awesome camera. Critical to me are that 136-degree field of view, because now you can see more of what you're recording underwater, and the intelligent segmentation is something you wouldn't normally think about. What the camera does is it divides by default the recording into 3-minute segments, and you can change that duration, but it makes it a lot easier to find what you want to see without having to drag through an exceptionally long video. But you can record 138 minutes of video given the battery life of this thing. The 164 feet of Wi-Fi means you can get a pretty decent cast and throw this out when it's in the down view mode and watch what's happening underneath you. I don't think I'll ever use it at 656 feet, but you can see, pretty awesome camera.